let's talk nutrition. You might imagine now, in the basis of supplementation, all supplements derive from the original source, that which being nutrition. In nutrition, you might find where the key fundamental pillars of the development of your body stem from. All supplementation is the speeding up process at which the synthetic process can be sped up, essentially. You might imagine such a thing as a peptide, a supplement that is a speeder of your protein synthesis. Pardon me. You might imagine that a peptide being a ingredient that which allows a rapider or more fast processing of protein synthesis. But in understanding what the fundamental root of a peptide stems from, now you might imagine that the peptide itself is correlated to a potassium atom. Potassium being the fundamental backbone of a peptide molecule. Now imagine if you were to rather supplement your body with a synthetic peptide, but rather with a real nutritious peptide, real food nutritious value of a peptide. You might find such a thing as in a potassium food source, such as a banana, avocado. Imagine after you have a workout now, you supplement yourself with a banana, one banana. You let it sit. You feel the potassium start to course through your system. You feel it enter into your body, which means your body is now beginning the process at which it will begin to synthesize protein synthesis from this potassium atom. From this potassium atom, now if you were to introduce a 9-branch chain amino acid, such as a meat source, a protein meat source, you would find that by supplementing yourself now, after giving yourself, say, 10 minutes after a exercise session for supplementing one banana, then you would supplement yourself with a meat source. Meat source is going to break down into a 9-branch chain amino acid, which the potassium in the peptide-like nature that potassium has, it causes protein synthesis. It causes protein molecules to break down and reattach within an osmosis process, you could say. A disintegration and reintegration within a separate system, the body. You might find protein synthesis also has a different function within the body. The more protein you are able to synthesize, the more rapid your metabolism will also result in. The more rapid your metabolism speeds up, what also happens? You process carbohydrates at a more rapid rate. Your glycogen to insulin ratio through the breakdown at which you will break down carbohydrates will speed up according to your protein synthesis, resulting in your metabolism speeding up. Now, what might be some other key ingredients that which we don't often look at? Lipids, fats, sources that are such as dairy, milk, yogurt, cheese, avocado itself is once again a lipid. A lipid that which contains potassium and lipids. Lipids are a different energy source. If you were to explain it from this perspective now, allow me to place it for you. And understanding that a carbohydrate essentially allows the water retention within the system of the body. The more you introduce carbohydrates into your system, the more water retention you will build up upon yourself. Ultimately, if you don't have a rapid metabolic rate, this water retention builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up. It eventually ends up building up to a point that, according to the level of poor metabolism rate, what essentially happens is this water retention essentially solidifies into what is known as body fat. Body fat is as a result of too much carbohydrate consumption, which results in too much water retention. The more you introduce water retention at the molecular level, you might imagine now, such in the process of introducing potassium and a 9-branch chain amino acid such as amide source and a carbohydrate supplement as well, in order to allow essentially the tissue to expand. This allows in cell growth, muscle building, tissue building. All tissues of your bones will grow from that particular point, but there are many different supplements that which you need to also introduce into your food source. This is why we have such things within a healthcare system as a necessary diet, a complete diet. And understanding a complete diet, you might also find a particular function, such as in lipids, such as dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurts, etc., etc. You might find another food source or nutrient, a mineral, within a particular dairy product. Calcium. Calcium is directly correlated to the function of your bones. The function of your bones is to not just sustain a structure within your body, to act as, you could say, a pulley and lever system. Imagine now your muscles are the lever and your body is the pulley, or your bones is the pulley, or reverse, pardon me. But regardless, you would attach to one and attach to another point, which from one you would pull. And from the opposite attachment, you would have an opposite reaction, biometrics. But in the biometric aspect of things, you might find that calcium does not just serve in the sustaining of your bone health, it also sustains your muscular, tendon, heart, and brain health. In the understanding of calcium, you might find one particular notion. Calcium synthesis in the body results in the production of iron. Iron is produced within the bone marrow of your biggest bones. And in the biggest bones of your body, you might have a larger iron content develop. Within this iron development, once again, you see different supplementations that benefit other factors within your brain and your body. You might find that within iron supplementation, you increase, the moment your body synthesizes iron, you also produce dopamine as a secondary byproduct of the iron synthesis. Now imagine iron synthesis is also created or stimulated from protein synthesis, which through calcium, this protein synthesis stimulates more red blood cells to be developed, more hemoglobin, more iron to build within the body. And through all of these supplementations of real nutrients, which are found in healthy foods, allow me to place it from this perspective. Minerals such as potassium and calcium are supplements that which benefit the function of the nutritious value of the real food ingredients that which you're to take. So imagine if you were to intake potassium and calcium, you begin once again the protein synthesis process, which from inducing or eating meat, a 9-branch chain amino meat protein, a complete protein source that allows for the synthesizing or the building process of said disintegrating the molecule and reintegrating it within the system. This metabolic process is, as a result as well, results in speeding up your glycogen breakdown, your metabolism. Glycogen breakdown is directly correlated to how much body fat you will have upon your body. The more fat you have on your body, essentially, your body stems its energy source from a larger fuel source. Remove the carbohydrate, you no longer sustain your body from a carbohydrate fuel source. If you were to introduce now a lipid and switch from a carbohydrate food source to a lipid, you might once again find that within the lipids is calcium and potassium in the lipid itself. Pardon me. But regardless of creating a complete diet, you might find that lipids themselves complement the function of carbohydrates. In the overall development of your health, many different factors are a key component to the mineral consumption, the protein consumption, the fiber, starch consumption, which also allows the processing of these meat proteins. And you also rise to different food, such as fats or lipids. Fats and lipids stimulate your hormones. You might find in stimulating your hormones, such as testosterone as a result of fat, lipid, and meat consumption, the more you can stimulate your hormones naturally by inducing or intaking what you take, such as your food source. Ultimately, every supplement is the creation of this process, simply created within a pill or a injection. But ultimately, it creates a more rapid rate of this process, which means your tissues at every single level will develop quicker. Every single tissue within your body will develop quicker if you now introduce a synthetic process, such as a steroid or any other factor that might alter the synthetic process at which you process your natural own processes. Bit of a wordplay there. But ultimately what you would find is introducing a supplement is seeking to achieve rapid results. You can achieve the same level of results simply by just expanding the time. Imagine you could build the same body within 2 years. If you were to introduce supplements, you could build said body within 6 months. You're essentially speeding up the process by 1/4. But in speeding up the process, you also speed up the process of your life by 1/4. In the speeding up of your natural body's process, you might find that a steroid or any process that alters your synthetic processes within your own biological processes, you might find that it ultimately just drastically increases the potential rate at which you process these entire nutritious conversation at. And ultimately, through inducing different steroids, supplements that are peptides, on and on and on, we find individuals have a much shorter lifespan. You can build just as an incredible of a body as you want, you just have to give yourself time. It's taken me 17 years in my own natural way of understanding nutrition, movement, and basic health, and how everything is correlated in order to come to this conclusion. Ultimately, you find in a supplement, all you do is just speed up this process. The process at which the nutritious breakdown is then introduced into your body. Supplement a performance enhancer, enhancing the process of this performance, or the performance of this process, pardon me. You would find that in increasing the performance of this process, your body generates itself much more rapidly. But it also shuts down different functions. And the more you shut down different functions, you'll find yourself pursuing more and more and more and more supplements to cancel different side effects. We might often speak about the dark truth behind pharmaceutical industry, which just pumps you full of drugs, but we don't often speak about the supplement industry, which once again is pumping you full of drugs. If you wish to achieve a good body, not just a good body, your natural body, a great body, no other person will ever have the body you will have. But if you understand how you may essentially build your own self, imagine your health is a correlation to not just your body, but your mind and your spirit. Everything you attach or feed the system of your health ultimately correlates to all 3 points. If you're unhealthy in one point, you might find the other 2 structures are a little bit not as healthy, as everything is supported in this pyramidal trio. If you wish to create a healthy trio, you need to expand and train not just your body, you need to train your mind, and you need to train your spirit. The more you train, you practice these aspects of your life, the more you pursue activity, the more you evolve to said activity. It becomes a second nature, if you wish. If said nature is introduced, said as a discipline, to simply just build a better functioning health, you might find in supplementing through real food, rather than supplementing through synthetic chemicals, which will drastically alter your body's natural chemical process and its biology. The moment you may introduce a real food ingredient simply by understanding how the body's processes ultimately are all correlated to the different way the process of protein synthesis occurs. In protein synthesis, you then arise to how you may understand either building or breaking down your body in order to achieve the fitness or the health that which you desire. Thank you.